Could you tell us your name and possibly tell us about your project?
Yeah, my name is Robert Wilson, and me and my colleague are most notably known for what is called the large horn antenna in Homedale, New Jersey. My partner and I use this antenna to discover what is known today, and we discovered it rather unexpectedly as cosmic background radiation.
What were you guys trying to do or find?
We were really excited to be able to use this telescope at Bell Laboratory to amplify and measure signals from spaces between galaxies. We were trying to look in between these spaces, or hear in between these spaces, what sounds was coming out of these places, because they have it would have very immense impact on physics as we know it, because of what we would have heard back. What the possibility is of extraterrestrial life or other sounds that give us an idea of the creation of our universe, how it is here, why it is here, and what's it going to be like in, thousand, hundred, however many years.
Where did the project or the experiment occur?
We were using the satellite, as aforementioned. I think we talked about it a little bit, but we used the satellite in Homedale, New Jersey at Bell Laboratories, which was pretty cool that we actually ended up getting to use it full. Like, we had free range of the use of this satellite because of the Telestar launch, which we can talk about a little bit later.
What other significant events were happening around the world at that time?
Well, like I said, the launch of the Telestar satellite, which kind of took, when that launched, it took everybody at Bell Laboratory focused more on that satellite being launched into space than on the antenna. And so we were pretty excited about that, because they gave us free range and use of that telescope. But another thing is the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which was a huge benchmark in history, because what it did is it made segregation illegal in public places, and it also made it illegal to discriminate on hiring. Like, people couldn't discriminate against you based on your race, based on your creed, gender, sexuality, all that stuff. You couldn't be biased against because of the way that you believed or lived. And so that was a big benchmark in history. And also the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And this aimed to overcome the legal barriers that kept some African Americans from being able to vote in state and local elections. And so these were very huge benchmarks that were happening at the time.
Who else was involved in the project?
My colleague, Mr. Arno Penzias, and me and him both actually get to share the 1978 Nobel Prize for Physics.
What was your role in the project?
Mr. Penzias and I were the main head researchers. Like I said, after that launch, we got free range of it, and so it was me and him, and me and him were the head researchers over this entire project. And also, because of the appeal of our satellite to pigeons, we actually had to become pigeon exterminators as well.
What impact did your project have on the physics community?
Our project had a very far-reaching impact, and it was very significant because it backed up what a professor from Princeton University, Mr. Robert Dick, had said. He said that his hypothesis was that our universe started in one immense large bang, and the implication of that would be that there is some sort of radiation that is left from something that big. It's going to leave some sort of background radiation. And so when we found this, it kind of backed up what he was saying about it all starting at one point in time, our universe starting at one point in time from a big bang. And so the impact of this, from backing him up, but also another impact is it started experimental cosmology, where people were starting their jobs were based on looking out into the stars, astrology rather, not cosmology, experimental astrology. And they were, looking out in the stars to why is our universe here? How is our universe here? What all started this? And also, it paved the way for theoretical physics as we know it today. And so, this whole finding of the background radiation opened up many jobs and many degrees, and so it was pretty far-reaching and had a pretty big impact on the physics community, I would say.
Can you tell us more about the antenna and how the pigeon ordeal played into that?
Yeah, it's very interesting actually. At the beginning, we were picking up background noise. So when, like I said, we were looking for noise in between galaxies, right? And that's what we were originally looking for. But we kept hearing this background noise, and we were like, "Where is this coming from?" And so we thought at first maybe it was noise pollution from a city, but we ruled that out because we pointed the antenna directly at New York City and the sound never changed. Well, what happened? We found pigeons had nested because of the shape. It's a conical shape. Our antenna was, and so pigeons had gotten into this antenna and had started nesting inside of it. And so we were like, okay, maybe that's the problem. So we shoot them out the first time and swept all their droppings and stuff and their nest out from it. But they kept coming back, so we never could figure out and make sure that that wasn't a problem. So we actually had to go out there. Not we didn't want to, but we had to. We had to go out there with shotguns and end up killing a couple of these pigeons to keep them from coming back. But eventually, we ruled out that it wasn't the pigeons, and we figured out that it was the background radiation.